Welcome back to Silicon Bytes, and this is a short episode on the dramatic strikes that Ukraine has made on Russian rail and logistics infrastructure. Before we dive in, this is one way you can help. Check out our fundraiser to help get a truck for the 69th Sniffing Brigade of NAFO. These trucks will be prepared to help Ukrainians remain resilient at the front. We've got links in the description to the video, and larger donations can get a silicon curtain patch as well. If you want to see the details, please check that out in the description of the video. And thank you to everyone who supports the channel through Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee, and of course everyone who is subscribed and adds comments to the videos. Now let's jump in. Ukraine is striking at the core of Russia's war machine, not at the front lines, but behind them through surgical attacks on key logistics hubs. On the night of 5th to the 6th of August 2025, Ukrainian drones struck the Tarsinka railway junction in Russia's Rostov region. The hub serves as a frontline artery for transport of troops, ammunition, fuel, and equipment into the occupied Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Reports confirm fires at the rail yard, damaged infrastructure, and disruption of rail services. And these are not isolated incidences. They join a deliberate and escalating campaign targeting Russia's logistics deep inside its occupied territory. That is from militarnia.com. So what exactly went down at Tarsinka? According to multiple Ukrainian outlets, the drone strike ignited a fire at a key railway hub in the Rostov Oblast, specifying damage to locomotive tracks and fuel tank railcars. Firefighters responded overnight, extinguishing the major flames by dawn of the 6th of August. But that, of course, was only the first night of strikes. There was a second night which reignited some of those fires. That is according to United24media.com. Russian evacuation reports around the time confirm that passenger train services were halted for hours and overhead electrification systems were disrupted. Though civilian casualties were not reported, rail logistics in the region were significantly delayed. That's reported by the Kyiv Independent. This strike is part of something much bigger, Ukraine's campaign to implode Russia's logistics. Since early 2024, Ukrainian special ops and partisans have systematically targeted rail lines and hubs deep inside Russia. A Kyiv Independent report on coordinated sabotage explains logistical strikes are strikes at the heart of the Russian war machine. Sites like Volgograd and Uvarovia in Crimea saw relay panels disabled, forcing delays in ammunition, fuel, and troop movements. The Artesh partisan group boasted precision and decisiveness in undermining Russia's supply chains. More details in the Kyiv Independent. Other recent drone strikes hit the Salsk rail junction multiple times in just days, destroying tank cars, locomotives, and even electrical substations. Passenger train delays stretched into hours. Rail deregulation is striking at Russia's central nervous system. Why are these hubs such a high-value target? Well, stretching from Rostov through to Novocherkassk into Donetsk and Luhansk, railway junctions supply ammunition, fuel, armored vehicles, and personnel. As Andrei Kovalenko of Ukraine's National Security Council put it, hubs like Novocherkassk are arteries that feed Russia's war machine. Without them, frontline supply chains break down. This was reported in the Odessa Journal. Analysis from the KSE Institute supports this. Roughly 30 rail stations adjacent to major storage bases account for over 80 to 90% of Russia's armored equipment, artillery, and MLRS dispatches. Outbound cargo fell 29% in early 2024, early 2025, showing depletion of reserves. This is logistics warfare by downgrading transport nodes. Ukraine constrains Russia's operational tempo, forces slower resupply, and magnifies attrition at the front. To truly appreciate the significance of this strategy, we need to understand Russian logistics' long weaknesses. A 2023 CNA report chronicled Moscow's decades-long military transport infrastructure reform, yet highlighted chronic capacity gaps in vehicle storage doctrine, especially under combat stress. Logistics struggled during the 2022 invasion's initial phase and remained fragile even when the key focus shifted to the Donbass. That is from the CNA report dated September 2023. Another academic review noted that Russian logistics are built on a flawed echelon principle, and when supply inputs shrink, secondary contingency plans collapse. Successful Ukrainian targeting of rail lines significantly reduces the Russian fighting power. Hence the strategic logic of rhythm. Cripple logistics, let forces get bogged down, expose the regime's vulnerabilities. But what are the real-world consequences? After the Tarsinka strike, rail traffic was halted, delayed both military and civilian flows. Passenger trains were cancelled or rerouted. Overhead power lines were destroyed. Russia's railway operator reported extended downtime. This is all covered in the Kyiv Independent dated 6th of August 2025. Disruption to military traffic and businesses, evacuations and train delays across southern Russia are becoming normalized daily. At Salsk, electrification failure caused a full shutdown at the Orlovsky substation. Transformers exploded, halting logistics further. These disruptions ripple outwards, supply delays, frontline shortages, morale impact, and of course the critical pressure on Russia's logistical resilience. For balance, though, we must mention that Ukraine is not invulnerable to strikes, and the civilian infrastructure is indeed very vulnerable to Russian attack. Note the difference, though. Ukraine hits facilities that have a bearing on the military campaign and logistics, while Russia seeks to exert terror over the Ukrainian civilian population, even when there is no military advantage whatsoever in doing so. For example, Russia has hit critical energy infrastructure on the Trans-Balkan gas route in Odessa Oblast on the night of 5th to the 6th of August. Russia launched a targeted drone strike on a gas transmission system, a GTS compressor station, managed by Ukraine's gas transmission operator near the Ukrainian-Romanian border in Odessa Oblast. The ministry reported that the targeted facility is part of a route connecting the Greek liquefied natural gas LNG terminals with Ukrainian gas storage sites via the Trans-Balkan pipeline. This corridor has been used to deliver US LNG and test volumes of Azerbaijani gas. The equipment that supports these supplies was attacked by dozens of strike drones overnight. The energy minister, Svetlana Hrychuk, was quoted as saying the large-scale Russian drone attack on the key compressor station of the Trans-Balkan route shows that Moscow will use all available means and leverage to destroy the energy independence of Europeans and alternative gas supply routes. If the Russians are allowed to strike our energy infrastructure and gas routes without facing consequences, then no infrastructure facility in Europe will be safe. The fire destroyed production equipment, and due to the damage to a trunk pipeline, the gas supply has been temporarily cut off for 2,500 households. An air raid warning was also issued in Romania's Tulcea County, located on the Danube River, as the Russian air attack on southern Odessa Oblast was visible from both Romanian and Moldovan territory. Once more, Europe looks on, in this case quite literally, as Ukraine burns just across the NATO border. Well, to wrap up this short episode, here is a summary of what we've covered. Ukraine's logistics strike campaign is a precision form of offensive defense, and it has a strong military strategy behind it. These are legitimate targets it is hitting, targets that are supporting Russia's large-scale invasion. Western supporters should prioritize long-range drone and missile capability and intelligence sharing to widen Ukraine's strike capabilities and reach. Sanctions should target not only military industries, but also Russian capacity to repair rail infrastructure, steel, rail production, power equipment. Of course, that is, if allies have any influence over this. Public sabotage and partisan efforts should be supported where possible. They undermine the Kremlin claims of omnipotence. Ukraine's resistance and amplifying this in the information war can be a symbolic force multiplier. Ukraine continues deep drone strikes on Russia's logistical hubs, Tarsinka, Salsk, Novocherkassk, delivering strategic blows behind the front. Hitting these arteries disrupts fuel, ammo, and troop flows, weakening Russia's fighting power over time. And historical logistics weaknesses make Russia incredibly susceptible to this type of campaign. We need to support Ukraine to scale up, increase the intensity of such attacks to take advantage of Russia's weaknesses.